This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of May 29th, 2023. And folks, it is Memorial Day week and the unofficial beginning of summer. So I hope that you're out there enjoying getting a little bit of barbecue. And if you're one of those folks who has to work today because you're a first responder or because you work in a store or because your boss is a little bit more on the firm side, let me give you my personal thanks for that. And while I have to say I'm not with you, my offices are closed on Memorial Day. Solid Signal's offices are closed. I'm recording this a couple of days early, but I'm grateful to you. And I'm also grateful, by the way, before I go into the subject of this week's podcast, I'm also grateful to all of those folks who fought and died so that we can enjoy a holiday like this. I think that we tend to lose sight of the fact that as imperfect as our country is, and I don't tend to go into that subject very much, as imperfect as this country is, it's still a pretty decent place. And it's still a place that was made better by the sacrifices of thousands or even millions of people over the years. Anyway, back to the topic. The topic of this week is NFL Sunday Ticket for businesses. It was announced late last week that DIRECTV will once again be able to offer NFL Sunday Ticket for businesses. An interesting bit of kind of negotiation, as it were. Most people are aware at this point that DIRECTV is no longer offering NFL Sunday Ticket to residential accounts, and that went over to Google, and it will be offered as part of YouTube TV. I wish them all the best on that. And also, I'm glad that I'm not the network guys over at the content networks and last mile providers who are going to have to deal with that overwhelming surge of traffic. I'm glad that it's them and not me. Does that make me a bad person? Perhaps it does. But it's less well known that there have been some machinations regarding NFL Sunday Ticket for businesses. You see, your average person does not tend to think of pay television for business, but it is the more profitable side of the pay television equation. And it's the side that is continuing to grow despite the fact that the residential side is continuing to shrink. Businesses prefer traditional pay television to streaming for the most part because it is available. Where high bandwidth streaming is not always available in every business, because it is less expensive than most people think it is, and perhaps the most important thing, because it's legal. If you go into a business and you find that they are streaming more or less anything, they are breaking the law. And I'm talking about even if they are streaming something like Pluto or a service that's free and advertiser supported. All of those streaming services, whether it's Netflix or Max or whatever, they are all intended for personal, private use and not for businesses. So businesses that want to stay on the right side of the law are always going to get pay television. And to those businesses that prefer to stream, let me just say, they'll find you. They'll find you and they'll figure it out. And it's not, that's something that I don't have to worry about. What I do worry about, though, and let me get back to it, is NFL Sunday Ticket. NFL Sunday Ticket's business rights went this year not to DIRECTV, but to an intermediary company which was funded by a number of venture capitalists and includes former DIRECTV VP of Content Derek Chang. So knowing that, it wasn't terribly surprising to see that NFL Sunday Ticket would make its way back to DIRECTV and that there would be profit in it along the line for everybody. It ended up being an extremely good deal, and I think it took a long time to make this deal, about a month longer than anybody expected, but it was still done by the 1st of June, and that's important because for businesses, auto renewals of Sunday Ticket will start in June. If you are a business and you had NFL Sunday Ticket last year, you will be getting an auto renewed this year unless you've specifically said that you don't want it. But most businesses do, of course, because it drives profit. Because every dollar that you put into NFL Sunday Ticket typically brings back $3 to $5 in sales in your business, especially these public-facing businesses like bars and restaurants. This is a profit center for DIRECTV. It's a profit center for the businesses, and now it's a profit center for the intermediary who gets to charge DIRECTV for that sort of thing. You know, Sunday Ticket for businesses is one of those things that just kind of really works. And it works despite the political climate. It works despite any of the controversies on both sides that have taken place in the NFL. I hear from a lot of my partners at Signal Connect that there are people who aren't happy about the way the NFL has kind of gotten political, and it's not always the people who think it's not political enough, or people who think that the politics was justified, but it's also well-meaning people who just think that there's no place for that in football. And this is one of those subjects I tend to not bring up because this isn't a political blog. But despite all of that, that has had an impact on the residential side of DIRECTV. And that and the fact that people are playing more soccer and less football as kids is another piece of it. None of that has had any impact at all on the way that Sunday Ticket is offered to businesses. It's still a growing thing. People still want it. And if you're going to get it, you're going to get it from DIRECTV. Now, I don't honestly know if it's going to be made available to other providers. I don't think those deals are done yet, if they're going to happen at all. It wasn't announced whether or not DIRECTV has an exclusive on NFL Sunday Ticket, or if it's also going to go to somebody else. But does it really matter? Because when you're talking about for pay television for business, when you're talking about that, you're really talking about DIRECTV. Now, some of the other companies have managed to start getting their stuff together and start offering this sort of thing to businesses at a reasonable rate, but it's pretty rare. Most businesses that have pay television through one of the other providers, all they're getting is basic service, and it's the kind of thing where the boss likes to watch TV in their office, and that's about all you get. When it comes to really using pay TV as a way to drive your business, it's all DIRECTV all the time. They're the only company that offers all the major sports packages, all the major international channels, all the things that businesses need to drive profits. And I don't expect that to change. So if Sunday Ticket does end up being offered through other services, I have to say to business owners, you probably want to stay with DIRECTV anyway. It's going to be a great value. I don't know what the pricing is going to be, but it's not expected to be a whole lot different than it was last year. Prices go up. It go up on everything. But what can you do? But DIRECTV is just your best choice. And I know this is beginning to sound like a little bit of a commercial. And I do have to say, because the fine folks at Signal Group do subsidize this podcast and they let me say anything I want. So I should point out, just as kind of being a good doobie, as it were, that you ought to call the folks at Signal Connect when you're ready to put Sunday Ticket into your business. They're good folks. They work hard. They can help you anywhere in the country. They can get you everything they need. And they really know the commercial side of pay television. They're not just, regular TV dealers who dabble in commercial stuff. We're talking about the commercial dealer of the year here. And these are the folks who will really make it happen for you in a substantial way. But NFL Sunday Ticket is really only one of the things I wanted to talk about this week. Although I'm kind of already running into the 10-minute limit, just let me stick in maybe 30 seconds or a minute more on the subject of Max. Max has predictably launched with a few problems. Max is, of course, the service that used to be called HBO Max, and it now integrates Discovery Plus content. Not surprisingly, just because HBO Max had a lot of problems launching and Discovery Plus had a lot of problems launching, Max has had a lot of problems launching. People couldn't get into their accounts. It wasn't working. It was rebooting for them. There's a whole segment of people with Apple TV 4K, who are not able to get Dolby Vision and frame rate matching the way that they want to. It's not great, and I look forward to it getting better It took about 3 months for both Discovery Plus and HBO Max to get better, and I expect this to go along that same line. So buckle up and enjoy, and just know that every company has growing pains as it launches. So even though I haven't necessarily been super charitable to them in my past writing, I hope that they do well, and I'm willing to give them a shot. That's it for the Solid Signal podcast for this week. If you are listening to this after Memorial Day, I hope you had a good one. And in the meantime, as I say always, like and subscribe, makes me look good to my bosses. Leave a comment anywhere that you get this podcast, and have yourself a great week. Summer is coming, the sun is out, and it's all looking great.